coming months. Three people with knowledge of the situation say President Trump and his top aides have grown tired of Patel and the unflattering headlines he's been generating recently, including using a government jet to visit his girlfriend and enlisting a SWAT team as her security detail. Joining us, MS Now Justice and Intelligence reporter Ken Delanian and MS Now White House reporter Laura Barone Lopez. Both of them broke this story along with Carol Leonnig. Ken, give me more.
Well, Katie, I should say, first of all the qualifiers apply here. With Donald Trump and personnel decisions, you never actually know exactly what's going on. But we are being told that Kash Patel, the FBI director, is on increasingly thin ice. And the president is considering replacing him by the end of the year with Andrew Bailey, the former Attorney General of Missouri, who is acting now as co-deputy FBI director, along with Dan Bongino. And it's for all the reasons that you just said and others. The use of taxpayer resources, the flying his girlfriend around on the FBI jet, but also the premature tweets, including related to the Charlie Kirk assassination and other investigations, that terrorist attack in Michigan where Patel got out in front of the investigation and tweeted about the arrests before the rest of the government was ready for that to happen. So Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche of the Justice Department have been annoyed with Patel for a long time, although they've publicly denied it when others have reported it. And now it's increasingly clear that the White House is as well. Now, our reporting this may actually enhance his job security, right? So it's hard to know exactly what's going to happen, but that is the reporting at this hour, Katie.
Yeah, no, we have seen situations where when it comes out that somebody is being considered for removal in order to prove that that Donald Trump does not have any chaos on his team or in his cabinet, has come out and said, no, of course not. I'm not considering anything. Let me play the president a little bit earlier today talking about Kash Patel during the Turkey pardon.
FBI Director Kash Patel has been very busy and doing a great job. Also, thank you, Kash.
Was that scripted? Was that always intended to be there, or was he responding to a question, Laura?
Look, I will say that right before we went out there for that Turkey pardon, I had asked the White House for comment on this story. And so because sources had been telling me, those that were talking to Carol and Ken were also telling us that essentially this ouster could be closer than ever. And part of that is because Andrew Bailey would now be able to take that role after reaching this 90-day requirement for being in that position. And so the White House had responded to me right before this event started. White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson, not denying it outright, not calling this false, but she did say that the FBI Director Patel is a critical member of the president's team and that he's working tirelessly to ensure the integrity of the FBI. That's what Abigail Jackson, the White House spokeswoman, said. And then after that, I went out there for the Turkey pardon into the Rose Garden. And I thought it was interesting that the president said, thanked him and said that he was doing a, quote, great job. And then there was some clapping and the president said, see, Kash, you have a following. So was it scripted? That's the timing when it happened. But this appears closer than it's ever been before because, of course, sources close to the White House have told me that they've definitely heard grumblings about Patel for all the reasons that Ken laid out. But this time around, more because of the back-to-back bad headlines about Patel's use of government resources seems to really be pushing those around the president and allies to the edge when it comes to Patel, Katie.
Yeah, what's interesting, Ken, is if we think about the first administration and when cabinet members had been ousted, a lot of them had been accused of mishandling or misusing government funds, misusing government planes, a version of corruption. And I guess this would fall into the same category. If you're talking about the SWAT team and the using the private jet, at the very least, just a misuse or an unseemly use of government property.
Yes, and the SWAT team reference, just to make sure our viewers understand, goes back to our reporting that members of the SWAT team in Nashville have been deployed as a security detail for Kash Patel's country singer girlfriend who lives in Nashville. And the New York Times has reported that other SWAT details from other cities have also been enlisted in that cause. What's also interesting, and you're absolutely right, Katie, that those kinds of things, Donald Trump has a track record of looking on with distaste and disdain. But what's also interesting is that Kash Patel is under fire from MAGA activists for things that probably our viewers are not paying attention to. There's a series of conspiracy theories, for example, about the January 6th pipe bombs. That case remains unsolved. A lot of people in the MAGA world have these unfounded beliefs that somehow the government was involved, that the FBI is covering up. And Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have not been as forthcoming as these people would like about that case. So they're mad about that. They were also angry the other day when they essentially leaked a story to Fox News, or did an interview with Fox News, and laid out their findings in the assassination plot against Donald Trump, and essentially said the guy acted alone, there was no larger conspiracy. That runs against a lot of conspiracy theories that are percolating in MAGA world right now. And so it's a really interesting dichotomy. You have, so every current and former FBI agent I've ever talked to has absolute disdain for the way Kash Patel is running the Bureau. But then you also have the MAGA right that's not happy with Kash Patel.
And Laura, who's Andrew Bailey? Give us a little bit more on him.
Well, Andrew Bailey, as Ken was laying out, used to be the Missouri Attorney General. He was brought in because of the fact that those inside the White House, those inside the FBI were not happy, which, as Ken has documented very well, were not happy with Dan Bongino. And Bongino was very upset and rebelling a bit over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files over the summer. And Bailey was brought in as co-director, or co-deputy director, of the FBI, which is, as Ken was explaining, this position that is not normal. He's someone, according to sources that I talked to this week, that so far the administration seems happy with, and that and that lawmakers like. And so generally speaking, he hasn't really ruffled any feathers so far with those around the president and with those across the administration. Katie.
All right, Laura Barone-Lopez, Ken Delaney, and thank you very much for bringing us that breaking news. Appreciate it.
Post the release of the Epstein files, that illusion cracked in full public view. Because for the first time, Trump wasn't the hunter. He was one of the men standing uncomfortably close to the shadows. Signing the bill to release the files was not a chartered act of transparency. It was a defensive move, a political corner he walked into after resisting disclosures for years. Trump tried to spin it as leadership. I'm the one releasing them. But Americans aren't blind. They can see the tremor beneath the triumphant language, the panic behind the forced smile. No president rushes toward documents that could reshape public memory of their private circles unless pressure has made retreat impossible. And that is the core. The Epstein files represent a rare moment where Trump cannot control the narrative. These documents don't respond to intimidation. They don't care about loyalty. They don't bend to political spin. They exist outside his performance. They expose more than the men in them. They expose the ecosystem that protected them. For years, Trump claimed he was fighting the system, but these files remind the public that he was always a beneficiary of it, never its enemy. What terrifies Trump isn't guilt, it's proximity. His name appears near names Americans associate with secrecy, predation, and privilege. He risks being remembered, not as the man who drained the swamp, but as the man who socialized with its architects. And the public sees the irony. While survivors demanded justice, Trump gave theatrics. While Congress demanded transparency, Trump offered excuses. While documents mounted, Trump delayed. This is the first scandal he cannot attack into disappearance. He cannot insult his way through it. He cannot shout louder than the evidence. The Epstein files are a mirror, one Trump avoided for years because mirrors reveal what slogans hide. And now the country sees it too. The man who promised to expose darkness was always terrified of the light.